Thank you for joining me, everybody, as we are here for another episode of my Forgotten Final Girls series. Today we are doing episode 2, highlighting another Forgotten Final Girl that I feel is one that is highly not talked about. She's very underrated, and it basically because this is not really... When you think of Final Girls, this isn't that kind of film that you think about, but that's the main reason why I wanted to bring this one up. I also have a special guest tagging along with me on for this video, so I hope you guys very much enjoy this episode 2 of Forgotten Final Girls, as today we're going to talk about Emma Bell, who plays Parker O Neal from Frozen in 2010. So let's do this. Roll it. Now, before I share my thoughts on Frozen and Parker O Neal's character, I have my buddy Mike from Did You See That, so I'm going to hand it off to him.
Hey Noran, and hey everyone watching, what's going on? Thank you so much for having me on your channel once again, bro. It's been a while, but it's great to be back and talking about a very unique series I've not actually seen anyone else talk about, and that is the Forgotten Final Girls series. So this one, I'm sure Noran's done an introduction, but we're talking about 2010's Frozen. And this is the one I'd only watched for the first time ever a few days ago at the time of recording this, and we're talking about specifically Emma Bell and her performance of Parker O Neal. I do have to dive a little bit into the story as I give my thoughts on her, but I thought this was a very interesting take on a final girl. Now, the main reason why is throughout this entire 90-minute or so journey that we follow our characters on in Frozen, her character, I would say, is best described for me as vulnerable. She is kind of a deer in the headlights, where she's in a situation she's not comfortable with, she doesn't really know, and she's kind of along for the ride, but also sort of peer pressure at the same time. Because her boyfriend, Dan, she's been with him for 1 year, we learn throughout the depiction, and he's got a best friend who comes on the ski trip with them, and she's kind of like a tag along. So in a way, kind of a third wheel in terms of two bro friendship. Now with that, of course, there's jealousy amongst the best friend, and then of course with Dan spending time with her. So firstly, she's in a situation that she's not aware of, and also an element that she's not fully comfortable with, so she doesn't really know particularly how to ski. She's very rookie, she's very beginner stages at absolute best. So already she's vulnerable in terms of that's going against her in terms of her odds and favour. Secondly, when they get stuck in this ski lift, she's not going to have a clue what to do. She's just going along for the ride. She's going there to be cool girlfriend and be supportive for her boyfriend and not seem like the lame one who will just stay behind and while they go have fun. She's like, oh yeah, hey, let's go for it. So she's already putting herself in a position that she's not fully aware, I guess, of her circumstances and what could happen. Now when they get stuck on this ski lift, she's also in a predicament where she doesn't know how to react in that scenario. Now, I'm not saying that the other guys do know how to react by any stretch of the imagination, but they're more, used to that environment of skiing compared to her. So I felt like Parker O Neal's journey is very expanding to the point where she has no choice but to adapt to her surroundings and the environment around her in terms of how she's going to get out of this awful predicament that she is necessarily in. And at the end, she has to kind of resort to desperate measures to escape and to finally get away, where she does get a very lucky break with the wolves. I will admit that. I was like, would that really happen? But, it's a movie, suspend disbelief. I'd like the journey of the character. I feel as if she was a really supportive girlfriend. She just tried to be there for her love interest and the one who she thought was the one and she was going to marry one day. I completely respect that field from Parker O Neal's character. I also feel as if it is a journey that is very claustrophobic, a one where it is leading to that next big step in her life, where from the this experience, she's going to learn a really important life lesson of maybe not going along to be the cool person or to fit in with the crowd, but also the fact that to know your limit when it is right in front of you and not overstep that boundary, because when you do a lot of the time, you ultimately get burned. So yeah, really interesting journey of Parker O Neal, and that's where I'm going to leave my thoughts, because I'm sure Noran's got plenty more to say. But thank you for having me on this collaboration, bro. I really appreciate it, and I'll hand it back to the legend that is Noran Rad 89.
Thank you, Mike, for all those kind words and those awesome thoughts. He really brought up a lot of points that I want to discuss and talk about with Parker as well when it comes to this film. I also want to get out of the way, too, right away, is the rules I have for my Forgotten Final Girls series. I really didn't talk about that in episode 1, is that the film has to be at least 10 years old, it has to be a female character, and it has to be a horror film. So those are my only really 3 rules when it comes to the series of the Forgotten Final Girls. And thank you again, Mike, for joining me. Please go over to Did You See that channel, and show him some love and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it if you do that. And now let's discuss Parker O Neal, played by Emma Bell, which I think is a great final girl. Like I said, when it comes to Frozen from 2010, this isn't typically the film you think about. When you think about final girls are usually girls that are in like slasher films. That's kind of where the term got coined, but also, you know, zombie films, just there's other types of horror films. But I think Frozen is a different style horror film where we have Parker O Neal's character, like Mike said, she's in a very vulnerable situation, a situation where she wouldn't normally find herself because she tagged along with her boyfriend and his best friend on this ski trip where they get trapped on this chairlift, which is absolutely horrifying for me, for real. Like, I love cold weather, but just, I don't ski, and like just the thought of being trapped up there over a weekend for multiple days, like that is completely horrifying. So I love the aspect of it. It's a survivalist film, and Mother Nature is scary. When I think about movies that have those disastrous situations, like this isn't a disaster movie, it's a film that has people trapped in a disastrous situation. It's very scary, like for real. That can be a very horrifying thing because Mother Nature is a tough customer and doesn't show any mercy. And I also like the fact that Adam Green, the director of this film, he kept it a very small, tight-knit cast. So, you know, you really get to know Parker and the dynamics of her friendship and her, you know, relationship with her boyfriend just in a short period of time of this film while they're trapped on this chairlift for like 2 days. You know, you really get to learn a lot about them. So I love that aspect of the film as well. If you don't know Adam Green, he's famous for doing the Hatchet films, and this is a completely different style film, but I think he brought the final girl concept to this film, being that Hatchet is more of a slasher type film. He brought that concept of the final girl to Frozen from 2010. So I love it, for real, because Parker has to deal with a lot, like for real. In this situation, if I would be one of those people that we see Kane Hodder kind of in the beginning moment when they first get trapped on the chairlift and the lights go out. I know, spoiler warning, I should say spoiler warnings, but these films are going to be older films we're discussing on the Forgotten Final Girls series. But there's a scene where he's driving like a snowplow, like trying to plow the mountain. I would have jumped onto that thing, like, you know, not jumped in front of it, but I would have jumped like literally on top of that thing or found a way to do something like for real, because it's a scary situation and I'm just like, no, if I didn't get out at that very beginning moment, I probably would have ended up dead. So like I said, for real, shout out to Emma Bell, Parker O Neal's character. Like, she really does the survivalist thing in here and shows you how to survive and handles and goes through very traumatic and emotional things where she sees her boyfriend gets eaten by wolves, you know, her friend and one of her friends gets eaten by a wolf too. And I love that kind of moment where I take that moment. My concept or my 2 ideas on that was when the wolf stares at her and she looks at it. It's either the wolves are full from eating her friends, or the wolf kind of senses that survivalist dog in her, and they're looking at each other, and the wolf's just like, don't start none, won't be none kind of thing. And then she goes about her way, and it's like, you know, we're cool, you know. So that's how I kind of view that situation and that moment, and it's like a very cool moment for me. So like, I really do love this film, like I said, and this is the perfect kind of winter cold film too. I did a ranking video I think a couple years ago where I was talking about films that you should watch during the winter season. Frozen is a perfect film. This film will like make you feel really, really cold. Like for real, that's the aspect of that film. And like I said, I really shout out to Emma Bell. I think her performance is fantastic and wanted to highlight her on this episode 2 of Forgotten Final Girls. And I was glad that I had Mike join in because he brought up some really awesome points about the vulnerability of this character and the situation she's in. So this is a fun series. I'm very excited, and this is going to be one of my passion projects on this YouTube channel because I think there are so many final girls out there from so many horror movies that just don't get the love that they deserve, and that's really why I wanted to start this series. But please let us know down below in the comment section, have you seen Frozen from 2010, and what are your takes and thoughts on Parker O Neal? We would love to discuss with you down below. Also, like the video, share the video, all that jazz. That greatly helps out the channel. And like I said, go show Mike from Did You See That some love. I greatly appreciate all those things. And also, most importantly, y'all know what's up. Have a safe and happy day. Peace out.